All right. Hi, and welcome to everybody. My name is Heidi Shorter, and I am a technology teacher in Howard County, Maryland. And in Howard County, we have students at the elementary level who travel to specials, or what we call related arts. And they go to music and PE and media and art. And they also come to technology class. So my job as a technology teacher is to teach from kindergarten through grade 5. And Wixie is one of my favorite tools to use. And there are lots of different ways that you can use Wixie. I will say that for what I'm going to share tonight, I'm not actually going to be teaching the Wixie tools, but I'm going to be sharing ideas and ideas for how we can foster the use of making sure that students have the opportunity to use their voice and to use choice in their learning. Because we know, and research shows, that when you give students choice, you give them ownership of their own learning. And, a lot of times, even in parenting, they say, okay, if something's happening, give your child a choice between two things, and then they can take ownership of what they're doing. And so it's the same thing with teaching and with learning. When you have the opportunity to choose what you can do, it helps to give you that ownership of your learning, and you become much more productive. And also, for most people, and in this world of craziness that we have, people like to be seen and they like to be heard. And student voice is, a very current topic. And when we share student voice, we are letting the kids know that we validate what they are thinking, that we can understand what they're doing. And it's also a way for them to share with us what they know and maybe even what they don't know. So I love sharing Wixie, and I love using Wixie because it is such a fabulous tool that kids can use to help be able to choose things and use their voice in a very creative way. You can add stickers, you can paint, you can do text, you can do video, you can do voice. There's just so many options. It's almost limitless as to what you can do. So I found this quote that I thought was really fitting for the topic that we're looking at tonight. So like I said, when students can choose stuff, they take ownership of their own learning, which provides value and engagement. And when students are fully engaged, that's when the learning happens. And so right now we are faced with this challenge. There's not a lot of choice, in all honesty, in some of the things that are happening in, the situations that we're all in right now. We're being told we have to stay home. We're being told we have to use this. We're being told that, this is what the system is that we're using. And so, for the students, even, they're being told, okay, here's your machine. Here's what you do. Here's where you go. And so to give them the opportunity to have some choice and to be able to express what they're learning is really huge. And it's a great way to use Wixie, especially in this distance learning type of environment. So what I'm going to do and how I set this up is I'm going to show you some of, first, just the blank templates that I've used in the past, or that people that I work with have used. And before I even continue on, I do have to say thank you to, first of all, for Tech for Learning for having me and for asking me to present. And I also want to thank the county that I work in and all of the teachers that I work with, because we really do work together and it's a joint effort. And, some of these templates come from those people and some of these templates come from, different schools. And so we all work together. And that's something that I think Wixie really fosters, is working together. So thank you to Wixie for having me here, and to everybody who works together so that we can learn from each other. So like I said, I teach from K to 5, and so we want to give students choice, but we also have to teach them how to use the tool. So this template that we use, that we start off the year with some of the youngest learners, is a template that helps to teach the students how to use Wixie tools, but it also gives them the choice in how they actually implement the use of the tools. So we take each season and each page and we teach the students different tools, but then they can use that tool to personalize it and have free choice into how they present the page. So here's a couple examples. So for the fall page, we actually teach the students how to use stickers, because Wixie is full of an entire library of images up on the image tool that you can click on, and they're organized by folders and they're organized by different topics. And so we show the students the plethora and the huge amount of stickers that they can find, but then they can use those stickers and design their own Wixie page for fall using the tools that are there, but they're able to create their own personal choice and how they want the things to look. On the next page, that when we do winter, we introduce the painting tool, so the paintbrush. So that's another way that you can edit and create a page in Wixie. So we teach the students how to use paint, how to change colors, how you can use different paintbrush tools, how you can change the size, and how you can personalize a page in a different way, not using stickers, but now you're using the painting tool to be able to create the page that you want to create that represents and shows the season the way you want to show it. It gives you the choice in your work. The spring page is a fun page because in Wixie there is a spray paint tool, and the spray paint tool is a very fun tool for the students to use. So it works kind of like you're spraying paint. So when you push your finger down on spray paint and it sprays all over the surface, that's exactly what the Wixie spray paint tool does, but it actually can spray images and it can spray design. So in this picture, this student chose to spray grass along the bottom and spray the trees, and there's a lot of different libraries in the spray paint tool that students can choose from. And again, that gives them the choice of, oh, I want to put this on my page. Oh, I want to put this on my page. And they can personalize it, which gives them, that piece of art that they've created using the tools that Wixie provides. And then the last page, we just say, okay, you've learned images, you've learned painting, you've learned spray paint, you've learned brushes. So take all of those tools and put it together and take what you've learned and show us what you can create using the tools that you know. So these are kindergarten pages, and this is the very beginning of the year, teaching kindergarten how to make their way through Wixie using a lot of the tools. So this next template, this was the blank template that we used, and we read a story about the shape of things and taught kids how, and the book teaches kids how you can take different shapes and add things to create an image or create something that you would like to show that you see when you see that shape. So an interesting piece and something else we did for choice is, and this is something that I think is a good strategy too, is we gave the students the whole book, but they got to actually pick which page they wanted to. They didn't have to finish the whole book. They just had to choose one page, but then always give the option of, but if you like what you're doing, or if you were successful with that page, you are welcome to do more pages, but you only have to do one page, which I think sometimes takes that overwhelming piece off of, what they have to do, different than the seasons book, because that's kind of, the youngest learners, it's a page a week. This one is, okay, now that you know what to do, pick a page and go ahead and show us what you know. So I just wanted to show you a couple examples of what the students did. So this was a student who took stickers and kind of decorated and created, his design. And then what I love too is there's a new tool in Wixie, which is the video tool. And he chose to add a video to explain what he did to create his design. So I'm going to play that for you. And hopefully you can hear it and it'll play and it won't echo with me talking.
There's a square until you add stickers and lines and it becomes a monster.
Great.
Yeah. So he got to explain what he did, which shows me, oh, wow, he really understands what he's doing. And then here's another student, and you can tell completely different page, really took some of the artists and took the background and really designed it in a different way. And this student, instead of adding video, chose to use the microphone tool and put voice into the page so that she could tell me what she did.
A triangle is a triangle until you add a circle, some hair, some straight lines, and some more straight lines. It becomes a person.
So I love that one because as a teacher, if I'm looking at this work and I'm grading this work, I can see that it looks like the sentence is not finished. Okay, because the sentence starter that we gave was not completed by using any text. But because we gave the choice of you can type how you changed your shape, or you can record how you changed your shape, for students that maybe don't have the typing skills or don't have the spelling skills and feel a little nervous about, well, I don't know how to spell that, and I don't want to type that in there. I can look at this page and, when I, just by looking at it, I think, wow, maybe she didn't get what she needed to do. And then I listen, I'm like, yes, she did. She knew exactly what she needed to do because she used her voice to let me know what she learned and how she did her project. So this next one we just did is we kind of work a lot with the teachers. So some of the teachers were doing communities in urban, suburban, and rural, and how those communities, what the differences are. And so we kind of challenged the students on this one. We made a template of the 4 boxes with the communities in there and some sentences that the kids could just click and drag over into what the correct community was. And then we challenged them, these kids are a little bit older, to go ahead and draw the communities, but only instead of going up to stickers or going into the paint tools, we pulled some math into this and we said, okay, you actually need to draw the communities only using the shape tool. You may only use shapes to draw into the community. So you have choice as to which shapes you want to use. You have a choice of how you want this to look, but we're going to challenge your thinking a little bit and have you use just the shapes tool. So any of the tools that you see on the right-hand side, if you click the arrow, there's other options. So there are more shapes than what the students see, so they can add different shapes. And we said any of the shape tools you can use. And so here's just an example of how creative these kids were in using the shape tools that, I did show them how you can draw your shapes and draw rectangles. And so you've got rectangles and squares and you've got circles, and even this little squirrely thing is in the shape tool. And so this student took the squirrely and saw that and made an animal on her rural community. And, that was completely her choice of how she designed her community, the way she wanted to do it using shape tools, which, like I said, brought that math piece in there and got the kids to see. And it was funny, I was teaching this the other day and one of the kids goes, I think this is a little challenging, Mrs. Shorter. Are you sure we can't use a paintbrush? And I said, well, I want you to try, because when you stretch your brain and really think, that's when the learning is starting to happen. So this one, I actually have 2 of these because I wanted to show you. So we, in this class, students were starting to learn about different voice in writing. So not necessarily just coming, from first person. What are other voices that you can use? So we were doing dental health, and we talked about doing a page from the voice of your teeth. So if your teeth had to talk to you, what would your teeth say to you? And so we gave them just this blank template with the speech bubbles around the outside. And then they actually taught them how to kind of zoom in and look and just take a picture of your teeth, so that your teeth are actually showing the speech bubbles and your teeth choose to tell you how they want to be treated. So it's kind of looking at different voice and a different angle of how you can use dental health and what you know to keep your teeth healthy. And I had to share another one, because the best part of this project, honestly, is doing it with the kids who are losing their teeth, because when they zoom in and smile, some of them literally like have holes where, they try to look. And I think there was one year we did this and we actually had the kids try to predict, okay, whose mouth is that? Who is that? Like, we didn't put our names in there. It was really cute. And they really liked doing that. This is a really quick template of just sharing some more math skills. And again, we did this in kindergarten, and they had a choice of how they could make 100. So we did break it up into 10 boxes and talked about how 10 groups of 10 made 100. And even in kindergarten, a student went in, picked which tool they wanted, picked which color they wanted, picked how they wanted to do it, and within 5 to 10 minutes had created 100 really fast. And they were amazed, oh my gosh, I can create 100 so fast if I break it up in those 10 groups of 10. And they really took, a lot of pride in their work, because they chose, oh, I want to make it rainbowy. Some kids choose to make it all one color. Some kids choose to do different shapes. So very cool. Yes, and we did do it on the 100 day. Yep, exactly. That was a good celebration of the 100 day. Yep. So this one is one that we also did recently. We do a lot in the curriculum that we teach in technology. We do a lot of online safety and online learning. And so for this one, again, we were trying to teach the kids, you have different ways that you can express what you learn in Wixie. So we try to guide them, you can use a text box to type some text in there. You can use video, you can use images, and then you can even take some of those other tools and pick which one do you want to do and how do you want to show what you know about online safety. And so this student added her text box. She took the text box over here and decided to make it into a speech bubble so she could share her voice. And then for pictures here, she had her mom take a picture, or somebody in her house actually take a picture so that she could put that in there. You know, I was thinking she was going to use a picture from the image library or something like that, but she went ahead and took her own picture. And then she also added a video. So I'll just show you real quick here. See if you think she learned what her online safety rules were.
Before I send my message to my friend, I will reread before I send it. Bye.
Yep. So she's got that. And when they use the video to be able to show you what they know, the video tool is new this year and I'm really loving it. We're really starting to experiment with it and use it so that we can really understand what are the students learning and how's their thinking going. So I love that new addition. So thank you, Tech for Learning, for that. So these next few templates I want to share with you just kind of are really about getting to know your students and letting them share who they are and what they do. So this was an emotional template where kids can share some of the things that make them feel certain ways when they are in school, out of school. And a lot of times I say, you know what, you can just share this. It doesn't have to be something in school. It can be something in your life that makes you feel this way, so that, you know, we all know that teaching works so much better when we really get to know our students. And there's a lot of ways in Wixie that we can use these tools to get to know our students. So I just have a couple highlights here. So, you know, these things make me feel happy. And she went ahead and decorated her page. That was not part of the directions, but she found some stickers and things that supported what she was saying with her happy. So she got to choose that. She's probably bored today because it's very, very rainy here in Maryland. Very rainy. But then look at this one. Talk about personality showing. Look at that. Look how much that page pops and shows how excited she is. So she was ready to share, you know what, this makes me excited. And I want to show you that I'm going to decorate the whole page. And again, that was not part of the directions. It was just all you needed to do was share something that made you excited. So, you know, her personality is really showing through. This one I love. This comes from some of the older kids in our building. So thank you to those teachers. But I thought this, you know, there's a lot of ways that students can share what they like, but this was, how can the teacher get to know who you are as a reader? Like, what do you show or what do you like when you're reading? So share with me some of the things that motivate you when you're reading. So what a great way for students to share and say, if I'm going to read, this is what I'm going to choose to read. This is what I like. This is what I'm going to use. And so that can help the teacher get to know their students and know what kind of stories that they're going to be, you know, more into, and really helps to identify who they are when they're reading. So I know, I love that one. Love that. Yeah, I stole that one for sure. I thought that was beautiful to share. This was another template that we used. This was an in-school template, but I'm sure we could figure out some ways to share this. So one of the intermediate teachers in the building, you know, the name tags that you put on the desks, you know, and then you put the, what is that stuff called? The contact paper down, you know, so that they have their name tag. The teacher wanted the student to be able to personalize their name tags. She said, I want to get to know these kids. I want to know what they like, and I want to be reminded of it a lot. So we created this template together, and then the students could put their favorite sport, their favorite food, all through these little boxes, add their name in there and put some things about them so that they could show who they were. And then when we printed them, we actually just cut off the direction pieces on the top and the bottom. And then the students put their different things in there. They were changing their fonts. They were putting colors in there. Like this student, very organized student, because she's got her words in there and she's got words and picture in every single box, and all the font is matching and it's all the same. And then, you know, this next student was like, oh, no, I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to use all these different colors and I'm going to put these patterns in there. And so when you walked into that classroom, you know, last year, the way the desks just highlighted who these kids were to say, this is what I choose to share with you. This is what I choose to show you who I am. This is my voice of what you need to know about me. It was a beautiful thing to see all of that around there. And I think you could still even personalize and do stuff like this and maybe, you know, have that, because all the teachers, as teachers, we have access to every single one of the student projects in Wixie. So there's a student section and you can go in and you can see all of your students' work, whether it's in the classroom or not. And then these next few are just kind of what we do at the end of the year. We want to know what meant a lot to you. What were things that you did that you were going to remember about this year, and kind of use it as a memory page, and encouraging the students too to add pictures in there. So one thing that is great about Wixie that I think is very cool, I have the opportunity and I always tell the kids I'm one of the luckiest teachers because I get to see them from, if they're in the school for the whole 6 years, I get to see them develop from grade K all the way through grade 5. And Wixie kind of keeps its own online portfolio for the students. So students right now who are in 3rd grade, when they open up their Wixie, they have a kindergarten, a 1st grade, and a 2nd grade folder. And it's all their past work that they've done in Wixie. And it's all just view only, so they can't go in and change anything that they did when they were younger, but they really do love going in and seeing, and looking like, oh my God, like this student is not in kindergarten anymore, but oh my gosh, that's how I painted. That's how I drew. That's what I looked like, so it's really a nice way for them to actually, see their own growth and see what they've done over the years, because Wixie allows them to be filed and saves all of their work year to year. And I think that's really a beautiful thing. One of the things that we've done in 5th grade before the kids leave, have a day in technology class where they can go into Wixie and pull down and save some of the things that they've used throughout the year, because when they move on to the older grades, they don't have the access anymore, but we do give them that time to go in to save so that they can remember and take pride in what they've developed over the years. So, and this is just an older student version of the same type of thing where students get to pick some of their favorite things that they did throughout the year so that they can remember, different things. And you can use pictures and you can use words. And again, there's pictures in there so that we can see. And I have to share this, the favorite memory from the year. This was the year that the Ravens were in the playoffs, and they actually came to our school. It was probably one of the best days I've ever had as a teacher, because they actually came and they did this whole huge pep rally, and it was a surprise to the kids, and some of them still talk about it. So it was really cool that made the memories for that year. So this is one of my favorites. So Wixie has a new category for social emotional learning, which is, they're very up in what's coming and what we all need and what we all need to understand from our students. So I don't know if any of you have ever seen that little video. It's been traveling around probably a lot of social media and YouTube, where that little girl stands on her bathroom mirror and she just looks in the mirror and she's like, I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my life, I love everything. And she just like really pumps herself up. So we showed the kids that video and talked about, how do you feel when you look at yourself and you really start thinking like, who am I and what makes me so special? So we just did this lesson, and then we had the kids go through and highlight some of the things that they think are special and affirmations for themselves, and then create a video in the mirror of what motivates them. So here's this one.
I am a good person. I am important. I love who I am. I'm filled with love. I am intelligent. I am unique. I am well protected. I work when it's time to work. I'm respectful. I love to learn. And I will never give up.
Yeah, just like Jessica. So that was really cool. It was, and they loved doing it. They really had a really great time filling in their affirmations. And I said, you know what, there's 3 on there. If you want to add some more, if you want, in your video to say all of the ones that you're thinking, you can do that. And that's exactly what he did. So that was really cool. Talk about student voice. So this one was one that we did. We combined with one of the classrooms where students wrote a narrative, and then they came into technology class and they created a scene from their narrative, and then they went in and recorded their writing, which really supports fluency. It lets them hear themselves. It lets them, understand the writing. And there were quite a few kids who, once they recorded or once they were reading, because they brought their narrative to technology and actually read into the screen, and they were like, oh, that sentence doesn't work. Like, they were able to fix their writing as they were reading it, because they understood their voice wasn't coming out in their writing the way they wanted it to sound. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this because it's a little long, but.
Birdzilla. Once upon a time, a bird named Birdzilla was waiting for her eggs to hatch. Then she smelled the most delicious scent. Worms. She went up to see where the smell of worms was coming from.
Okay, so you get the idea. So speaking of choice, Wixie has, and I'm not sure how many people are aware, but in their template category under teachers, I know worms, isn't that funny? The most delicious scent. But I'll go ahead and show you. But in the template category under teacher, Wixie has under idea boards some amazing, amazing choice boards that are already made and already use a lot of the templates that are in there. And so when you click on, one nice thing about the way they've designed the choice boards is all of the items and all of the templates that are in the choice board that are listed. Once you click on the item, it actually takes you to that exact template in Wixie. Oh, sorry. And then the kids have a choice. So as far as distance learning, we have a lot of asynchronous days in our county. And so those are days where, you know, students have to work on things on their own. And if we give them choice boards and we say, okay, here's a choice board this week, you need to pick one, we can then go into the student section in Wixie and see which one they chose. And it gives them, again, the ownership of what they're doing and their learning. And so one last thing I wanted to share real quick, because I know I'm really running right to the end of my time, is they are also providing, and I think this is a really cool and a great idea, to bring that home-school relationship together. So a lot of times, and we're coming up in our county, we're coming up on conference time, and I know a lot of like first quarter, and parents say, what can I do at home to help support my child? What can I do? And there's a lot of technology that's out there that may not be the best use of time for a lot of students. And, you know, some parents say, well, I don't know if I want them on doing technology because I don't really know what they're doing. But Wixie has so many great things that students can use at home. And, you know, it's a great thing to say to parents, you know, if your child is looking for something to do, we can assign one of the family choice boards in Wixie to your child. And you can actually then use the computer, because the computer is a phenomenal, fabulous tool. And our job is to teach these students that you need to be able to use this tool productively and give them time to use the tool productively, but yet make sure that they're doing something that's safe. And so this is a really great thing to be able to share. So thank you, Tech for Learning, for these choice boards for families that they can use, that we can assign and say, you know what, if your student logs into Wixie and opens up the choice board, has nothing to do with school, you can use this at home. It's a great thing to maybe assign or to help people use, you know, for, I mean, there's always like reading suggestions or things to do over break. What about some text suggestions? And so this text suggestion for students, for families, and we could take even some of these templates that Wixie also provides and put our own things in there, our own choice boards in there, or the templates that we want the students to use, so that they can, again, have that choice and use that voice in their learning. So, and I just wanted to throw out there too, I was in one of these webinars a couple weeks ago, and one of the teachers shared that she's using the video piece to have students actually ask questions. So if they come across something and they don't understand something, they can put a video on their page in Wixie, and then the teacher opens it up and can see, you know, I have a question about this. Or she even showed, there was math, and the student used the video to explain their math thinking and how they solved the problem. So instead of, you know, the show the work, it was tell your work. So their voice was important. They were taking an active role in their learning. The teacher got to hear what was happening. And I think especially now with distance learning and, you know, that limited one-to-one time and that time that we can't walk over to a student in the classroom and say, hey, how are you doing? Or see that puzzled face and give them that comfort of knowing that they can ask us. If they can create that video in the project and let us, you know, not only show what they know, but ask what they don't know, it allows them to really use that voice. They can be heard, they can be seen. And I'm starting to actually see students create videos and hear voices that I've never heard in the classroom because they've been too shy or they haven't been able to raise their hand. So it's a great way to really encourage the kids. But I will share, the first time you use the video tool, you have to have the students allow the camera, allow Wixie to work. So FYI, if you're teaching younger kids, because that allow button sometimes can be a little tricky. But that is what I had to share today. So I want to thank everybody, especially all my people, for coming and supporting me. But are there any questions?
I'm so sorry. I was